What's up, YouTube? It's another video from the Country CEO. Enjoying this evening. Excited to share with you some more insights into the dump truck business, into business in general, things that'll help you on your entrepreneurial journey. I'm going to be talking on this video about how I went from one to four trucks in about 5 years. In other words, how I scaled my business in about 5 years to a level that I was very proud of. Hadn't been done by many in my area at that particular time, and so it was a great accomplishment for me. And so I just want to share with you how that happened for me and bring out some nuggets and some fruit that'll be beneficial to you. Those of you who are perhaps aspiring to get into this business and scale up, or even those of you who are already in it, may have one truck, may have two, and looking to just scale even higher than that, right? All right, so before we get into it, as usual, like, subscribe to this channel at the button below where it says subscribe. And I know that this information will be beneficial to you. All right, so how did I go from 1 to 4 trucks in about 5 years? All right, so I started off driving one truck that I purchased myself. Drove that truck for about 3 years about 3 years myself, right? And so just grinding hard, day, night, weekends, whatever, doing whatever it takes to build the business, right? But then it came to a point where I was ready to upgrade. The truck I had was a 94 in the year 2000 when I bought it. And then so it gets to 2002 now. And so I'm looking at upgrading, wanting a newer truck, and end up purchasing my very first new truck. All right, it was a 2001 Mack that I bought in 2002, brand new truck from the Mack dealership, right? And so what went into that was the fact of having a cousin of mine that had recently got his license and had filled in for me a little bit, wanted to get on a dump truck. And he was adamant and steady on me about, man, get another truck. I'm going to drive it for you. And so we finally stepped out there and went out there and got another truck, right? All right, so I had a conversation with him. Hey, man, look, you know, if I do this, you know, you got to stick with me. All that conversation, I'm going to tell you about that. All right, but what brought upon that was the initial thing, right, is the wanting to grow, right? You know, you have a mindset to grow. I think that's a prerequisite. You know, if you don't have a mindset to expand your business and to take it to levels that it's never been before, then, you know, why should you even bother with that? But I just believe you ought to max that thing out, take it to the full, take it to levels that you've never seen before, and you know, and it's just be a wonderful thing, right? And so how do I do it, right? So I get this second truck, and so there were some things that came into play that happened that allowed me to be able to do that, right? First thing is there was an abundance of work. There was an overflow of work. I mean, it was just so much work out there to when I had the one truck, I literally was turning down 2 and 3 people, sometimes 4 and 5 people a day that I couldn't get to them because I only had one truck, right? And so it constantly began to bug me that, man, you know, if I had another truck, you know, I could be in 2 places at one time, right? And so once, so that was the first thing. It was an overflow of work. That's what helped me to make that decision to go towards that, to that level. And so I would say to you, if you want to scale up, get in the business, or you're in it and you want to scale up, then one of the things you need to look for is there an overabundance or an abundance or an overflow of work in your area, or just wherever you can drive to, that you'll be able to work that truck, right? That was the indicator for me, number one. All right. And so you know, I just felt like, okay, well, if I at least get one more at this time, I won't have to keep turning down 2 and 3 people every day that's looking for a truck, you know. And so another truck enabled me to make more money, scale up, plus it will make accessible a job for somebody who wasn't working. All right, so that's how I scaled up the overflow of the work. The second thing is I shared with you how I was able to scale up from 1 truck to 4 trucks is the availability of the drivers, right? I went from that second truck to a year later getting another truck, right? And so there was an availability of a driver. This time it was a brother-in-law who was itching and scratching and filling in for me. And hey, brother-in-law, get a truck, and man, I drive for you. I come and be with you. And my conversation always was, even with my cousin first and then with him, well, hey, man, well, let me say this. With my cousin, I told him, I said, look, man, I got another year on this first truck. Whatever you do, stay with me until I pay for this truck, right? Because my thinking was at the time that if something happens and he goes haywire on me, well, it's paid for. I could just sit it and ain't hurt me, all right? So, but my brother-in-law came on, and my conversation with him was, well, hey, man, I'll do that, but you got to stick with me, man. I can't have you to come for a year and leave. I say, if you can give me a 3-year commitment, we could do this. He was like, yes, I'll do that, right? And so I went out there and got the third truck, right? All right, so listen at what I said. Let me remind you. All right, there was an overabundance of work, allowed me to scale. Then there was an availability of drivers that allowed me to scale, right? All right, and so these were good guys. I don't want you to think I was just grabbing guys off the street. It was my cousin, it was my brother-in-law. I knew their work ethic. I knew some history on them, right? So I knew that they would work. I knew they wouldn't leave me high and dry. I'm going out here. The first truck was $83,000 brand new. Second truck was $110,000 a year later, brand new. So I'm making that kind of six-figure investment in a equipment. I needed to know that those guys was gonna stick with me, right? So that allowed me to scale up with a third truck, right? So again, work is still plentiful. I'm still abundance of calls. Work is there, no problem. Everything's good, right? Well, that presented a problem. All right. So now I got 3 trucks, right? Well, at this particular time, I'm beginning to realize that one of the tricks of the trade in the business is if these customers are calling you for work, even if you can't get to the job or the work with your 3 trucks, contract the work out. In other words, you tell the person, the contractor, that, hey, I can do the job. I'll get some trucks for you. And so that's what I began to do. I began to say, okay, yeah, I'll handle it. And then I had become established in the business in about at that 3-4 year mark, right? So I knew guys that worked on jobs with guys that had gotten their phone numbers. We would always contact each other. Hey, man, they look for trucks over here. I would do the same, blah, blah, blah. And so therefore, all I did was, if I get a customer call me and say, hey, I need 2 trucks tomorrow, but my 3 trucks are tied up, then I would essentially say, okay, I'll get you 2 trucks. And I get on the phone, hey, man, I could use you on a job over in such and such tomorrow, right? We call that contracting out, right? And you make you a few dollars, if it's an hourly job, you make you $5 an hour, $10 an hour off the top of what you're going to pay them. All right, that allowed me to scale up. All right, but that presented a problem though, which was a good problem. It wasn't a bad problem, and that was I had so much work going on. I had my guys to tend to, and then I'm contracting out work. I couldn't do both on the truck. All right, and so I had to make a tough decision at that mark of me actually coming off the truck. Keep in mind, I'm loving being out there. I'm loving being a truck driver. This is what. Just my 7th, 8th year being in trucking. I mean, I loved it. The getting up, getting in that truck, talking noise on the CB to other truckers, the smell of the diesel, the seeing the sight of the smoke coming out the stacks, hearing that engine rev up. Oh man, I loved it. And then the passion and the idea of seeing a job start from nothing, and then you seeing it come to fruition at your hands and at your work. That was just something that excited me. But I had to make a decision at that point that if the business was going to continue to scale, to grow, I had to come out of the truck at that point and take upon an administrative role, because at that time my wife was still on her job and we weren't really in a position to hire a secretary, right? So I made a decision to come off the truck, hired another competent driver to get on the truck that I was on. So now I got 3 drivers, 3 trucks. I'm subcontracting out work, and I'm the administrator of it all. I'm off the truck. I'm in my office every day, making sure, taking care of business, going to job sites, talking to customers, making sure drivers got what they need. And that's what allowed me to do what? Scale up even more, right? All right. Another thing that allowed us to be able to scale. Matter of fact, let me recap them so you're following me closely. It was the overabundance of work is how I went from one to 4 trucks in 5 years. It was the coming off of the truck that allowed me to go to 1 to 4 trucks in 5 years. It was the availability of good, competent drivers that allowed me to come off of the truck and scale up and go to 1 to 4 trucks in 5 years, right? Another thing that allowed me to do it was hard work and dedication. Hard work and dedication, not just on my part, but on the part of those drivers, right? Hard work and dedication. And when I say hard work and dedication, it was Monday, it was weekdays, it was nights, it was Saturdays and Sundays, it was out of town work. We did it all in them first formative years, right? And we didn't turn down nothing but our collar. You hear me? Right? So it was hard work and dedication. And then here's another bell cow that helped us: consistency. Consistency. What do you mean, country CEO, by being consistent? Consistency was I demanded being on time every day, right? My drivers, if they were late, they know they would catch hell from me, because I prided myself on being on time, because it was a reflection of my business, right? When they were late, that was a reflection of me, and I took it personal, right? And I used to see how other companies would be late on jobs. So to distinguish myself, I would want my guys 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early on jobs, right? And then not only consisting of being at work on time, but the consistency of doing the work while they're on the job, right? Not dragging butt, not lagging around, not disappearing on these guys' job. They're paying you by the hour. You're disappearing, all of that kind of stuff. I demanded the consistency of work, right? This is how we were able to scale up our business and go to 1 to 4 trucks in 5 years, right? All right. And then watch this. After all of that, I know you only counted 3 trucks. I was able to get diversified and get a road truck and started pulling tankers at that point, because the brother-in-law that I had, he was experienced in that. So I bought a truck for him to get on to go and pull tankers, right? And then I just hired another driver that came available, another hardworking guy to fill in for the dump truck. So look at what I'm doing now. Now I'm running 3 dump trucks and I'm running 1 road truck cross country, pulling tankers, plastic pellets to be exact, right? So I was able to scale up 1 to 4 trucks in 5 years. All right, let me recap how we did it. There was an overabundance and overflow of work. I had an availability of drivers. When the company began to grow and expand, I had to come off the truck and take an administrative role. All right, it was hard work and dedication. All right, and then it was consistency. I'm here to share with you and tell you that if you take those ingredients and I believe you apply them to your situation, not just in the dump truck business, but in any business, I believe you will see success as well, unless it's just some unforeseen circumstances that are totally out of the box or wild, right? All right, so I hope this video has been helpful to you, to share with you what my journey was and how I scaled up and how I took that thing to a whole nother level of 1 to 4 trucks in 5 years. All right, so this has been the grind to shine video, helping you to be successful as an entrepreneur in the dump truck business, but also just in business in general. Hope you're having a great day. See you next time. Peace.